Commonwealth, and her BA from Emory University in 1995. After graduating from law school, she worked as a staff attorney with the Legal Environmental Assistance Foundation to provide legal assistance and support to communities affected by hazardous waste sites and advocate before the state legislature on related issues, including groundwater protection and environmental justice. Ms. Moncrief then joined the Florida Office of Earth Justice. We love those guys too. Where she represented individual and nonprofit organizations in litigation to protect wetlands, endangered species, and other environmental resources. She joined the enforcement section of DEP's Office of General Counsel in August 2004, becoming Deputy General Counsel in 2007. At DEP, she represented the Department in litigation concerning a variety of environmental programs and managed a team of more than 15 attorneys handling DEP's enforcement actions through the state. Seeing the need for citizens to become more involved in policymaking on environmental issues in Florida, in 2011 she became the Executive Director of Environment Florida, the grassroots environmental advocacy organization working on both state and federal environmental policies. She became the Field Director and then Deputy Campaign Manager of Florida's Water and Land Legacy Amendment, which led the environmental community's campaign to pass the Water and Land Conservation Amendment by 75% of the vote in the November 2014 election. And we just now need to make sure we have a state legislature who enforces it. Ms. Moncrief is the Executive Director of Florida Conservation Voters and FCV Education Fund, which emerged from that successful campaign and now focuses on educating, electing, and holding Florida's elected officials accountable for their environmental actions. Ms. Moncrief, thank you for joining us today. The podium is yours.
Gosh, if I had known you were going to share all that, I would have shortened it significantly. I apologize for my full resume there. I could not be more delighted to be here. Representative Soto has been, since his time in the Senate, just an absolute champion for Florida's environment, and we are proud to support him in any way that we can. And we're so delighted when folks who, at the kind of relatively local level, climb up that ladder and speak for all of us at the highest levels. So Representative Soto shared a little bit about Florida conservation voters and our beginnings. You know, our core mission is to elect conservation heroes and champions like Representative Soto. And we really got started in 2015. We're a little bit unique in terms of environmental organizations. We saw a need, that need having been that the environmental community, for a variety of reasons, had restrictions in terms of getting involved in politics and getting involved in elections. And so we said, okay, well that's a gap that needs filling, and that's what we decided to do. So our core areas of focus align very much with what Representative Soto outlined as far as his priorities. You know, public lands. We've just now launched a Public Lands Love Florida campaign to really connect folks with public lands at every level. You know, everyday people, they don't necessarily care about whether it's the federal government that owns a place that they enjoy and love, whether it's the state government that owns it, whether it's the county government that owns it. They just know they love the park, and they love the amenities that are offered there. So, you know, we are certainly working with Representative Soto on things like making sure that our National Land and Water Conservation Fund gets reauthorized. This was an incredible 50-year-long program that expired last fall. It has the capacity to bring up to $900 million a year throughout the country to help local communities build, expand, and protect parks and preserves. So we're proud and happy to work to get that reauthorized on the federal level. We are working at the state level, as Representative Soto mentioned, to get our state legislature to faithfully implement the Water and Land Conservation Amendment. We have seen slow progress on that. I would call it molasses-paced progress, but it is moving in the right direction. With last year, Senator Bradley, who's a state senator, having pushed $100 million for Florida Forever, which is our state sort of seminal conservation program. He pushed that through the appropriations process for 1 year, and we and the environmental community continues to fight to get that as a reoccurring, not just the 100 million, more. Also, the prior years, we saw progress in terms of the state legislature allocating 25% of that water and land amendment, $200 million a year to Everglades restoration, which was also part of what voters wanted the legislature to be doing. So we're starting to see them moving in the right direction. Hopefully that will continue, and I'm happy to answer questions about that. On the energy and climate front, one of the big campaigns that we are working on that I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of is our Clean Buses for Healthy Niños. Volkswagen settlement, folks may remember, they lied basically I want to cherry or sugarcoat it, whatever the expression is.
Yeah.
They lied about diesel emissions. They got caught. The Environmental Protection Agency brought action against them, and they are paying fines and penalties. As a result of the settlement on that enforcement case, Florida stands to receive about $168 million, which can be applied to clean transportation. It can be applied up to 50% of that can go to charging stations to try to help boost the electric vehicle capacity of our state. We, at Florida Conservation Voters and our education fund, we think that the highest and best use for that money is to go to public schools for clean electric school buses. In Tallahassee, one of the things that you see year after year is public school budgets getting slashed. And one of the things that hurts is that, believe it or not, the school bus fleet. You have a lot of older buses that are spewing air pollution right into our kids' lungs. So we think that why not take this opportunity? This is basically free money coming to the state of Florida. So we're calling on the DeSantis administration to channel the majority of that money to schools so that they can have clean electric buses. So in this moment, you know, as Eric mentioned, as Representative Soto mentioned, I think what we saw in this last election is that Florida's environment played a prominent role. Unfortunately, part of that was because of the red tide and blue green algae crisis that we were facing. But I think for many of us in the environmental community, we thought, oh, okay, this is what we've been saying all along, is that water, air, wildlife doesn't care about political party, doesn't care about political divides. And we were, I think that the change in tone in the election and the change in tone that we're hearing in Tallahassee is a promising one. Now we all have to step up and make sure that it's not just tone change, but that there's actually an action change that comes with it. So I will leave it at that. I'm excited to answer questions for folks. I do want to mention if you're interested in learning more about the Clean Buses campaign or any of these other things that I mentioned, and plus a lot of the other work that we do, we actually also do a lot of democracy work. So one of the other implementation things at the state that's critical this year is whether and how our state is going to implement the Restoration Rights Amendment, which would bring 1.4 million voters who had been disenfranchised up until now back to communities. So FCV, we're at fcvoters.org for more information. I will just end it there.